In order to do the second variation where you have a hollow cut from design one, it is slightly more complex and you would need to stop at the point where you still have the separate square and the separate circle. So stop before you use the minus front from the Pathfinder, that option. And then what you're going to do is, because you obviously want to mimic the exact curve of the circle, you're going to draw the same circle, but you're going to draw it slightly larger. So the easiest way to do that is to have it selected and then do copy, so Control C, Control F, and F means that the circle will be pasted exactly on top of the first circle. And then with the transform tool, we're then going to make that circle bigger. So if I look back at my design, I know that I want the width of the cardboard to be 40 millimeters. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to add 80 millimeters to the height and the width of our circle, because of course we need 80 on the height and 80, so we need 40 all the way around, which would, if you add that together to both sides, it comes to 80. So now we've got this excellent curve here, which is exactly where we want it. That's where the hollow is going to be cut from. Now what we need to do is we need to go to the square, and we need to do something similar, but this time we need to make the second square smaller than the first square. So we will do again Control C, Control F, and then use transform, and this time we're going to minus 80 millimeters from the height and the width. And what you'll see there is perfectly we have this border that's now been created. So we now need to chop up and rejoin the shapes. It's a little bit more complicated than in the first one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the select tool, and I'm going to select first of all the inner square, and I'm going to use a really useful tool. In the drop down of the pencil, you'll find the path eraser tool, and this allows us to break up shapes. So if I simply rub there, you'll see what's happened. It's broken up the shape. Now if I use the zoom in tool like so, I obviously want to break up the shape exactly as close to that line as possible. So I'm going to go back there, and then I'm going to you don't have to erase it all, but as long as you break that line, what you can then do, if you zoom out a little bit, is you can go to the direct selection tool, click off, but click back on just to this part here, and you can actually use the delete tool, key on the keyboard, to just delete that section there. Thinking about it, we actually need to bring this line down to this bottom intersection here. Now, I'll show you a different way that you can do it. You can actually go to the pen tool, and you can decide to add an anchor point. And if you hover over that intersection there and add an anchor point, be careful you don't add it to the wrong shape, which is what I've just done. So just click back onto there and add an anchor point. There we go. What you then can do is use the delete anchor point tool, and you can delete that other anchor point there. And what you'll then find when you click off is the line only comes to that intersection, which is really useful. And you can do exactly the same with this circle. So again, you need to split that line with the path tool. You can do that by coming all the way up, if you can do that quite precisely like so, or as I showed you, you can use the plus and minus anchor tools and zoom out. Then we know we need to break this line, so you're zooming in again here, and you can use the line break tool. Again, it doesn't really matter if you follow the line if you're not very good with particularly like me, not very good with a mouse pad, but If you bring it down to that point, it'll end up there. And what I do is I go around and I just break all of the lines that need to be broken. So up to the top, and always zooming in as far as I can so that I'm doing an accurate job. And we know that we need, with this line, we need to break that and bring that to, no, my apologies, we don't need to break that line. Ignore me, because of course that's the top line. We actually need to break the square at this point. Get it right, and we need to bring that all the way back to here, and there we go. And then we need to break this line, and we need to break that at that point there, like so. Okay, we're getting there. And now we can delete some of the bits that we don't need. If you're finding it hard to see, you can turn your grid off now if you're not drawing anything. So hide grid, like so. You might find that a bit easier to see. And we're going to use the direct select tool, first of all, to delete the parts that are on their own that we don't need. So press the delete tool for that. And this line here, what we're going to do here is I would click on this, again we'd use the pen tool here, and we can get rid of these anchor points. Let's just double check that this line's been broken, which I don't think it has. So before I do that, I just need to break that line here. It's actually really hard to see that line, of course, because it's right on the edge of the page. That's it. And then I'm going to click on that and press the delete button. I might need to press it a couple of times. Okay. Also going to just turn off the guide so that I can see a bit better. And we need to also break this one, like so. And let's just make sure that that's broken, like so. And then we can use the direct select tool to select. We just zoom out just to make sure you know what we're doing. Looks like there might be two circles there by accident. And let's just make sure that this one has been broken at the top. No, it hasn't yet. So we're going to break that line there. Yeah, it's definitely got two circles happening by accident there. There we go. Okay, so we can now click on this circle, press delete. We can do the other erroneous one that we've got underneath, and then we've got this circle here, which we can also delete. We now have our shape with a hollow. Little bit more fiddly, this one. I can notice that this line here is a darker shade of red, so I'm just going to click on there and I'm going to press delete, and as I suspected, it had a double line there. Now, because we're talking about tiny millimeters, and when it comes to the cut files, if I just zoom in on that section there, in all likeliness that would probably still cut the material, or certainly you could, it might have a tiny bit that you could break once you got it out of the laser cutter. But certainly what I would do is a proper job, you'd get the pen tool and you'd connect the two of them together. So you click on the end of the line, and then you click on the end of that line, and then you join them together. And if that hasn't made an exact, you can always move that point like so. And if you go around and you just check all your joints, That will now cut with a hollow in the middle of it.